Good evening everyone, I'm Vishal Salsekar and today we are going to cover the News Today articles for 20th of November. So in today's discussion, we are going to talk about 5 important articles in detail. The first article is regarding the evolving maritime challenges. So there has been recently a military exercise which is M.A.N.A.V, and that particular military exercise is very important because entire domain of the maritime security is very important. And there are a lot of challenges also pertaining to the maritime domain. So we are going to talk about this. Next is about the freebies. So as and when there are elections, there are very high chances that there has been distribution or circulation of freebies. When the freebies are being provided in any of the democracy, it basically shakes up the essence of the democracy, because in that way the independent choices making can get hampered. And that's why the freebie cultures के context में many a time the Supreme Court and the other High Court have provided certain observation. So we will talk about freebies also. Next is regarding the soil health degradation in India. So we know that there has been large amount of fertilizer in the form of urea that has been applied, and this is also causing one of the lot issues that the soils in India are facing. So we will talk about the soil health degradation in India, and then we are also going to talk about what are the other type of solutions that we can consider in this particular regard. The next article regarding the M.A.N.A.V roadmap for the AI. So we will talk about how in this particular AI Impact Summit, the government along with the other stakeholders are talking about how to make the artificial intelligence more transparent, more accountable and more empathetic. Right. The last article we are going to cover regarding the Gaganyaan Mission. And then there are certain other quick updates that we are going to talk about in detail. So let's start with the very first article regarding the emerging and the evolving maritime challenges. Now, this is very important from the perspective of GS paper 2, GS paper 3. GS paper 3 में science and tech, along with that internal security, it is a very important topic. Along with that GS paper 2, the governance and the international relations, because it is also involving the international collaboration. From the perspective of security also, this entire domain of maritime is very important. So that's why this particular article is important from the UPSC's perspective. Now the context is recently there is the exercise M.A.N.A.V, which is the exercise by the Indian Navy along with the other friendly foreign navies, and that is held in the biennial manner, and that's why this is very important naval exercise. Now, whenever these type of exercises are there, UPSC has this tendency to ask the question. They can ask the question regarding which of the following military exercises held between these two countries. They will either mention regarding the country's name, or they can mention regarding the exercise between which particular two countries. So you have to identify that. It can be a very probable prelims based question. So in that particular military exercise, what has been highlighted, it has been talked about, and even the Defense Minister of India have highlighted that international community to effectively tackle evolving complex and the interconnected challenges at the sea. So the maritime domain comes with a lot of benefit, but there are a lot of challenges also. The issues like piracy, issues like the dominance over the maritime domain, and these are a lot of issues that the maritime domain is facing. So let's talk about the evolving challenges with respect to the maritime domain in India. The first is regarding the geopolitical tension and the territorial dispute. So there are a lot of straits that you might have seen. So whether you talk about the Strait of Hormuz, or whether you talk about the Strait of Bab al-Mandeb, or maybe you talk about the Strait of Malacca, every time whenever there is any geopolitical conflict, these straits are there in news. Why? Because sometimes the countries which are very near to those straits give the threat to the other countries that we are going to block this particular strait. So there is the contest over the ownership, underwater resources like the rare earth element, like the South China Sea, you know, that the China is trying to create the dominance. Why? Because that region is rich with respect to the minerals, right? Other than that, the piracy, terrorism and smuggling, you might have seen that there is the Horn of Africa. In that particular region of the Horn of Africa, the main issue is the piracy and the smuggling. There are a lot of non-state actors which are trying to take control over the ships that are passing through that particular region. So this is also one such issue. The Gulf of Aden is very near to that, even near the Strait of Malacca, even near the Sundarbans region also, it is becoming a major piracy region these days. Next is the environmental challenges. Obviously, when we are talking about the maritime domain, the blue economy is at stake. And when we are talking about the blue economy, rising the sea level challenges, even a lot of issues. Let's say there are the disasters which are born in seas, like the rising sea level, severe cyclones, even inundation of the coastal region. All these are the major issues, and that's why these are the environmental challenges. Last but not the least is the cyber vulnerability also, because you might be knowing that the data cables and many a time other type of cables that are the undersea cables, and due to the disruptions there is threat to the undersea cable, because many a time what happens that the non-state actors, or due to bombing or due to maritime conflict, there has been threat to this. Even apart from that, the cyber attacks which disrupts the port facilities and all, right? So all these type of things which are at stake because of the issues that are evolving through maritime domain, or maybe which are pertaining to the maritime domain in general. Now, talking about what is the significance of the maritime security, but because from the perspective of India, this domain of maritime is very, very important. Why it is very, very important? Because India is already having a vast coastline. So if you talk about the mainland India, more than 7,000 kilometers, and if you include the island region, it is more than 11,000 kilometers, which is the coastline of India. And when we are talking about the coastline of India, this particular coastline provides a lot of opportunity, but that is also creating certain aspects of threat. And when it is creating the threat, this becomes a major issue. That's why the global collaboration is needed in order to overcome those particular threat related scenarios. Another thing is regarding the trade and the economic lifeline. So when we are talking about the trade, more than 95% of the India's trade by volume is passing through the maritime domain. And when we are talking about that the trade is passing through the maritime domain, eventually it becomes very, very important for the country like India in order to ensure the security of that particular domain. If India is not going to ensure the security in the maritime domain, the chances are very, very high that the state actors or the non-state actors might be taking the advantage of that particular scenario. Next is the valuable marine resources. So see, basically when we talk about the sovereignty of the country, eventually in order to take care of the interest, there are the territorial region or the territorial sea. But when we talk about the economic aspects, it is the exclusive economic zone, EEZ, which is a very prominent concept with respect to the economic sovereignty. And the large amount of EEZ will be available only when you are having large amount of coastline. So this 11,000 kilometer of coastline provides the valuable EEZ where India can explore its resources. So more than 2 million square kilometer is the EEZ of India, and this particular EEZ provides the opportunity in order to explore more and more mineral resources, more and more maritime resources. Next is the regional stability and the diplomacy. So if a country is a major maritime power, it can also host a lot of things, like India is hosting different type of military exercises. So similarly, there will be collaboration of different powers, like the regional stability and the diplomacy can be done if we are having the bargaining chip. So in India's context, it is its coastline, it is its availability of the vast coastline that helps India in order to engage with the other countries. And this also helps India to project its power through the maritime domain. So there are a lot of island countries which are very near to India, where India is acting as a net security provider. Whether it is Sri Lanka, whether it is Maldives, whenever these countries are facing any type of crisis, or maybe the distant island countries, they are being helped by India because India is acting as a net security provider in this particular region. So that's why it is important. Along with that, the concept of the Vishwamitra, right? So India is supporting the countries through different avenues. Now, what initiatives India have taken already? So one such thing is the net security provider. So India had taken this role, and there was a policy in 2015, which is the Sagar Doctrine, which is the security and growth for all in the region. So in 2015, India came up with that, and eventually that policy is now upgraded in the form of Mahasagar, which is mutual and holistic advancement of security and growth for all in the region. So through Mahasagar, India is supporting the maritime domain with different countries, sustainable development of blue economy, all these things are being supported. Talking about the information exchange, so that is being done through the Information Fusion Center, IFC IOR, which is established in Gurgaon, and this particular center is helping to collaborate with different set of information, and that eventually help the countries in order to understand what type of issues that might emerge from the maritime domain. Talking about the National Maritime Security Coordination, so there has been the coordinator assigned who are coordinating between the different forces, different other agencies in order to collaborate and provide a response that is well coordinated in nature. Talking about the multilateral engagement, so these type of military exercises, and last but not the least is the space-based surveillance, which includes the NAVIC, which is the satellite constellation, right, and the ISRO satellite. So there are different avenues through which India is trying to collaborate, and India is ensuring the safety and security of the maritime domain. The next article is regarding the Supreme Court slammed the freebie culture of the state government. So already we are knowing, and we have this particular idea that the freebie culture is not sustainable in nature, because what exactly are the freebies? They are given to the people in expectation of certain set of return, and generally they are there to lure the people. So in that sense, freebies are not creating any type of capital. In that sense, that is not creating any of the sustainable aspect. It's not like health, it's not like education, it's not like other things which is helping with respect to the development of the human dividends. So that's why this particular freebie culture is generally being slammed by different observers. So Supreme Court recently slammed the freebie culture of the state government because it creates the deficit at the end of the states also. Now, from the perspective of GS paper 2 polity and governance, GS paper 3 economy, this is a very important topic. So talking about this, now what is exactly the context? So recently in the case of Tamil Nadu Power Distribution Corporation Limited versus Union of India case, there has been observation by the Supreme Court. In that particular observation, they have said कि ठीक है, we cannot guide you that where you have to give money, where you have not to give the money, but then there are certain avenues through which there can be development of the human capital. Spending on that is not considered as freebie, but if spending on certain things which is just to lure the candidates vote, in that case, it is not going to give you any type of future dividend. So that's why these are the freebies. So without drawing any distinction between the beneficiaries, freebies would hamper the long-term economic development. This concept is also being highlighted in the economic survey. And this particular concept, the Priya versus Shreya, is being talked about in the economic survey also, like the short-term goals versus the long-term capital development. Now, what are exactly the freebies? So, RBI is defining the freebies as the public welfare measure such as it provide free of charge. Means, in return, you are not keeping any type of expectation. Like if you are giving, let's say, free electricity to the people, you are not expecting that they should vote to you. But then these are being distributed in order to create certain goodwill. But many a chances this is leading to the exploitation of that thing. Like if you are giving subsidy for the electricity, overconsumption of electricity. If you are giving subsidy for, let's say, any type of, let's say, purchase of maybe the utensils, then in that case, they are not being utilized properly. They are being sold to the third parties. So these are the issues. Now, these are distinguished from the public or the merit goods such as education. So giving education free, giving health free is not the freebie. They are the avenues to develop the human and the social capital. Now, what exactly are the concerns associated with the freebies? So first is the fiscal burden. Now, freebies are not coming free. They are free to those people to whom they are being given. But in general, the government had to incur the money spending on that particular thing, and that also sometimes leads to the losses at the end of government. So the economic survey highlights that roughly 2.6% of GDP was there in financial year 2022. But then 3.2% in 2025. That means there has been a substantial increase as far as the freebies are concerned. Then it derails the development. So basically, if you would have spent on, let's say, health or education, then there might be comparatively good dividend or demographic dividend that could have been developed. But now you are spending, let's say, on freebies, and in that case, now you are not able to give or devote that amount of money on the health education, and that way the money is being diverted from those things to this, and in this way these things are going to get hampered, which is health, education, research and development spending, right? Undermines the sustainability. So there are reports which are highlighting that freebie once you can give, but then suppose if you are giving it other, and then this becomes a regular habit, and if this continues, this hampers the entire economic scenario. For example, if you have given, let's say, the subsidy on the electricity, now after 3 years or 4 years, it will be very, very difficult in order to roll back that. Similar thing is with respect to any of the things, whether it is any type of affirmative action that you are going to give. So in that cases, chances are very high. Once they are being laid out, it will be very, very difficult to roll it back, right? That's why the sustainability has to be checked first. So it is highlighting that free electricity, which is leading to the extreme groundwater depletion. Why? Because the chances are very, very high that if the free electricity is being provided, there may be high chances that people will not give much respect to how much amount of water they are extracting, and this is what major issue with respect to the Punjab, over extraction of water, right? So this is the case. Other than that, in the case of, let's say, any other type of benefit that you are providing maybe to any community also, that can also be sometimes considered as freebie if it is just to mobilize the masses, right, without giving the due advantage to the capacity building in that particular case. Lastly, weakening the institution. So suppose karo, if you are giving free electricity, if you are giving loan waiver, that turns into a habit. It will not ultimately going to resolve the capacity building of that individual. Otherwise, if you would have built the capacity, there would have been comparatively better development of the human dividend. So free power to the weakens the banks, discoms, all these things are major issues. Now talking about what may be the way forward. So in 2013 there was a case which is the Subramaniam Balaji versus the state of Tamil Nadu, where they have mentioned ki dekho, you can give freebies, but then ultimately if you are going to give it more on the health, education or maybe employment generation, it would be comparatively giving more better dividend. So open avenues for the employment instead of giving the non-merit freebies. So culture nahi aisa paida karna hai aapko, which is going to give people this message that you can get everything for free. Election Commission has also highlighted this as the malpractices in 2014 and 22 it is mentioned that it required political parties to explain the rationale and the funding mechanism. Like if there has been certain type of benefits are being given, what is the rationale and what are the avenues through which you are funding these type of schemes. Further, economic survey also highlights that the more durable gains in the income and productivity than the open-ended transfer. So anything which tomorrow you can't roll back, those things should not be given eventually. And once you are trying to do these type of things which are just for the political mobilization, it is going to impact the fiscal prudence of the country, right? Next article is regarding the report on the soil health degradation in India. So we already know that the way farming is being done in India, it is predominantly utilizing urea as a fertilizer. And without even knowing that actually soil is deficient with respect to the nitrogen based fertilizer or not, or nitrogen based fertilizer has to be used or not. So NPK, these are the three macronutrient, and without even understanding that whether the soil is lacking in any of them, generally we are applying urea, and this is eventually resulting in the excess of urea, and that creates the nitrogen based pollution. And that's why this article is talking about that there is a health degradation with respect to the soils in India. Now from paper 1 GS1 geography subject and paper GS2, it is environment and agriculture. It is important. It should be basically GS paper 3, right? So it's not GS2, it should be GS3. Now talking about the context, so basically the soils are getting suffered because of these particular issues. So the healing of soils in India for better crop health and the human nutrition report that has been talked about, and it is released by which agency? Indian Council for the Research on the International Economic Relations. Now this is a report. So basically what we are going to talk about are the observation of the report. But this type of report which agency has released, UPSC sometime can ask. So just have an idea regarding which agency has released healing soils in India for better crop health and human nutrition. It is released by the ICR, right? Now, what are the primary causes for the soil degradation? So these are listing the causes. First is the distorted fertilizer policy. So it is entirely skewed towards the urea or the nitrogen based fertilizer, but ऐसा तो नहीं है कि every region in India is only deficient with respect to the nitrogen. Majority of the region are deficient either in P or K, but then we are applying only urea, so that's why it is creating the nitrogen based pollution. Talking about the farming practices, many a time it is being utilized as a faulty farming practices. So what type of farming practices? Like the intensive tillage, like we over dig that particular region, or the prolonged water stagnation. Generally in the rice crops we are seeing that the water is being flooded. Again, try to link it with the last article where the freebie ke form mein, if the electricity is being provided, that is subjected to exploitation. Over extraction of the groundwater, flooding that particular field, and that is a faulty type of agricultural practices. Then in the case of rice cultivation, then heavy reliance on the monocropping, means mainly the cereal based like the wheat only, maybe rice only, right? Apart from that, burning of crop residue, and this is also creating the issues like pollution. Now apart from that, even the soil erosion is also one such major issue with respect to India. Generally होता क्या है, whether it is through the wind or whether it is through the deforestation, what is happening? The soil is now bare, and then there has been a loss of a large amount of topsoil, which is roughly 5.3 billion tons of topsoil annually because of the water and the wind based erosion. So this is a major issue that have to be talked about. Now 5.4 to 8.4 million tons of primary nutrients have gone annually from this type of soil. So once the topsoil is being removed and generally the nutrients are residing in the topsoil, this is being washed away and there is a loss of the macro and the micronutrient, right? Now talking about what exactly is the status of the soil in India or the soil health in India. So micronutrient depletion, so except NPK, they are the micronutrient like the sulfur, boron and zinc. So nearly half of the soil lacks micronutrient, and generally where we are focusing upon urea, which is giving what? Nitrogen. So this particular thing is still lagging. Next, talking about the low organic carbon. We are not focusing much on that. So the crop manure is not being utilized over there, right? So 75% of the Indian soils below minimum required soil organic compound. So that means majority of the soil is lacking that particular minimum amount of the soil organic carbon, which is also lacking. Again, what is excessive? Urea or the nitrogen. Then the phosphorus and the potassium shortage. So this is basically a issue that the potassium and the phosphorus ka shortage, along with that the high prices is one such issue. But then only 45% of soil have sufficient amount of phosphorus and 32 have adequate potassium. But then what we are applying basically, because the subsidy is majority basis pe provided on urea based fertilizer. Lastly, nitrogen deficiency. Nearly 95% of the Indian soil lacks adequate nitrogen. But without assessing that exactly whatever we are applying, whether that is reaching to the crop or not, we are utilizing urea. And that's what is the issue. And there are surveys which are talking about roughly what amount of urea we are applying. Only 50% se bhi kam is able to be utilized by the plants, and majority of them is washed away. So this is one such issue, that it is not being applied in a targeted manner. Now, what exactly are the negative issues because of this particular thing? So first is the dropping of the crop efficiency. So when we are basically not able to ensure that there are proper utilization of the micro and the macronutrient, so what is going to happen? Whether the crop is going to get increased or yield is going to get increased or decreased? It is going to get decreased. So the efficiency is reducing, because we are excessively utilizing, which plant even not able to absorb. So plants can no longer absorb the nutrients well, because what we have applied, urea. Loss of the nutritional quality. So once the plants are not able to take up the micro and macronutrient, so how the crops which is coming as an outcome is going to have rich in the nutrients. So this is also lacking. So the crop is deficient in essential micronutrient, right? This is one such issue. Then there is hidden hunger, because see, those crops are being consumed by now the population in India, and the demographic dividend which is being developed in that, there will be issues like the stunting, wasting, malnutrition, because the nutrients which is supposed to be there, the vitamins, the protein material, all these things will not be able to be developed because of the lack of the nutrient, right? Then the water contamination. So once fertilizers we are applying, those fertilizers are then getting mixed with the water which is flowing beneath the surface, and along with that, even that particular thing is running out and washing out, and then it is meeting with certain water resources and creating the over the ground and under the ground both type of water pollution. And then obviously it will be unsafe for drinking. So these are the issues with respect to the soil health in India because of the unsustainable utilizer of the fertilizers, right? Then way forward can be, so there can be reform in the fertilizer policy. So bringing the urea under the nutrient based subsidy. So the subsidy has to be provided based upon nutrient. ऐसा नहीं कि only for one thing. And as of now, only P, phosphorus and the potassium is part of that, not the nitrogen or the urea based fertilizer, right? So bringing urea in that is going to help this. Apart from the direct income support, so not necessarily providing only for urea, you can provide income to the farmer so that they can decide what is beneficial for their crop. Talking about innovative products, so there can be innovative utilization. Jaise you can utilize the technologically advanced methodologies, right? And through that, even providing the better availability of the soil health card, regular soil assessment, these are going to help. Apart from that, AI and the machine learning, through which you will be able to assess the entire scenario of the ground, entire fertility of the ground, and then what type of methodology is going to benefit that particular soil. Then right sources, the 4 R's, which is right source at right rate, at right time, and at right place. Means it should not be excess of anything or deficiency of the things. Adequate manner mein you have to utilize the things. Promoting the integrated nutrient management. So the nutrients have to be managed properly. It should not be like the excess of one such thing and on the cost of the deficiency of other things. Apart from that, crop covering, so that basically those nutrients should not be lost. Then the crop diversification, so that one crop will make up for the previous crops, and then there can be a comparatively better yield that will be observed. Then other schemes that the government has launched, like the soil health card scheme, which is going to give you an idea, which is an assessment of your soil, that what are the nutrient deficiency or excess in your soil. Apart from that, PM Pranam scheme, again talking about the yield with respect to the soil, right? Then the Paramparagat Krishi Vikas Yojana for talking about the organic farming, right? Then the neem coated urea, there will be coating of the neem, which is going to ensure that the low leakage of the nitrogen based urea, which is from the neem coating, so that it can be applied for a long period of time and there will be lesser losses, and absorption is also going to be comparatively high. So these are the things that can be done as a way forward in order to improve the situation of the fertilizer in India. Next article is regarding the M.A.N.A.V roadmap for the human-centric AI. So M.A.N.A.V, which is a framework that has been proposed in this particular India AI Summit. Now, GS Paper 3 Science and Tech and GS Paper 2 Governance, this is very, very important. So the Prime Minister recently have talked about that the human-centric version or human-centric vision for the AI model has to be there. Means if the AI is going to replace a lot of tasks, and if there is no aspects of ethics, no aspects of morality and no aspects of humanity is there, then it is going to create a lot of mess, lot of losses for the society, and that's why there has to be some responsible aspects that should be attached. So it is talking about certain actionable outcomes. Actionable outcomes, whether you are talking about transparency, whether you are talking about accountability, whether you are talking about security, critical data protection, all these things has to be part of that. So that that data which you are accumulating should not be made as a type of weapon only against you. So that should be taken care. Now, and all these things can be utilized for the benefit of education, healthcare, right? Now, talking about what exactly is the M.A.N.A.V framework. So this you can also utilize in the answer. So what exactly is M.A.N.A.V? M stands for moral and the ethical system. So what exactly is the moral and ethical system? There has to be fairness. Like whatever model it is there, it has to be non-biased in nature. It should not be just promoting certain people's interest. There should be transparency that how the data is going to be aggregated, how the data is being utilized, where the data is being stored, and the human oversight. It should not be like ki everything is only machine based. It has to be incorporating even the human element, and that is going to help with respect to the development of a responsible model. So there is the national education policy where from the childhood we are trying to now inculcate a responsible system for the artificial intelligence. So digital and AI literacy, apart from that early exposure to the data driven and the decision making wala aspect, so that the child from the very beginning of the life will be able to take care of those things and will be able to understand and assess those particular things. Talking about A, which is accountable governance. So these particular rules which are transparent in nature and robust oversight and the clear institutional responsibility, these are going to ensure accountable system. Otherwise, if these things are being done by the machines, to whom you will be held accountable. So that's why these particular things, transparent rules, robust oversight, clear institutional responsibility is going to fix the accountability. That if the machine is doing this, who is actually responsible behind that thing? Who has fed the data, right? So India AI Mission, which institutionalized the standards, it talks about the transparency, it talks about accountability, it talks about the ethical and the moral aspects, right? So which is important. N stands for the national sovereignty. So data which is being provided by the nation, that should be having sovereignty over the data. So critical data sets, strengthening of the domestic compute capacity. So country like India, which is generating the large amount of data, and if India is not having hold over that particular data, it is going to impact a lot. A lot of critical aspects are going to get compromised and we will be import dependent, and that's why the domestic capability have to be developed. So India semiconductor mission, in order to reduce the import of those particular critical avenues, right? A for accessible and the inclusive AI. So it has to be accessible. The model has to be accessible for the larger set of masses. That's why it can be utilized by the society. It will be adding up for the society. It will be adding up value for the society. So multiplier for the society, not a monopoly for only a few privileged people, right? So it should be accessible to all. So those type of models which are being talked about, like India ka digital public infrastructure like UPI is available for all. Like similar manner mein Meghraj GI cloud, which is available for all in order to scale up whatever type of developments they are doing, right? And even the new developed model like the server AI and all, they are also talking about these things. Lastly, V, which is the valid and the legitimate system. So the system which we are developing, that should be even having the legal backing, that should be even the trustworthy, the safe system to be utilized, right? So whatever type of developments we are doing, they are to be backed by a certain type of substance, and in that, like the rules, IT intermediary guidelines and the digital media ethics code, like these rules help in order to generate the trust of the masses over the system which we are going to utilize. So these particular amendment rules along with other things are talking about that what exactly is the human made content, what exactly is just AI generated content, because right now there is a deep fake, right? And eventually we are seeing a lot of videos, images that are being deep fake videos, and eventually we are not able to distinguish also, and that's why it is very, very important to formally define that which is the synthetically generated content and which is basically a type of content which is generated by the human being, right? Now apart from that, even there are certain frontier AI impact commitments that were being also taken. Now who has launched this particular type of commitment? So these commitments were being launched by Minister for the Electronics and Information Technology at the AI Impact Summit. Now what is these type of agreement framework? क्या है ये? Voluntary framework है by leading frontier AI companies, those who are responsible for develop these particular AI models, and the domestic innovators, means who are going to utilize that and develop their own model based upon that, in order to ensure advanced, inclusive, responsible and equitable AI development and deployment. So it has to be a democratized methodology में system which is accessible to all. It should not be in the monopolized manner where only a selected few can be utilizing these type of systems. So it can ensure democratizing access, it can ensure the innovation, it can provide the benefit for the global south. All these things will ensure that comparatively we will be able to have comparatively better democratized system. Now talking about the commitments which are being taken, the first commitment is advancing the understanding of the real world AI. So the real world data sets, real world situation simulation, all these things have been talked about. So focus on the data driven analysis, informed strategies on the impact of AI. So basically जो actual data set पे based, actual situation based, those things we are talking about. And second commitment is strengthening the multilingual and the contextual evaluation. So specifically to the regions, जैसे in the case of India, multilingual framework, because to address the disparity of different languages, even the contextual. So for rural region differently, urban region differently. So to ensure the effectiveness of the AI system across different languages, different culture, real world use cases, even collaboration with the government locally at the state level, in order to understand that what exactly is the need, and based upon that the system is being provided. So a type of customized system which is being talked about, right? Next and the last major article that we have to discuss is regarding the successful qualification test for the Gaganyaan drogue parachute. Now again, it is important from GS3 science and tech perspective, because it is India's development with respect to the science and tech, along with that GS paper 2 governance. So since Gaganyaan is a mission which is about to be launched, 2027 has been kept as a target, 2026 mein there has been a simulation that will be launched, right? Now what exactly is the objective of this particular Gaganyaan mission? It is going to demonstrate India's capability to send the human being into the space. Then there will be maneuvering roughly for 3 days, and then eventually it is going to bring back those people again on Earth. So it will be a type of program where a type of satellite is going to be launched. That satellite will revolve around the Earth and then it is going to come back, right? So it is the demonstration of the human spaceflight capability by launching a crew of 3 members to the low Earth orbit, roughly 400 km for a 3-day mission, and then taking back them to the Earth. So it can also tomorrow be replicated later on as a भारतीय अंतरिक्ष स्टेशन. सो इंटरनेशनल स्पेस स्टेशन के तर्ज पर देयर कैन बी इंटरनेशनल इंडिया का स्पेस स्टेशन ऑल्सो. सो दिस कैन बी अ वे अहेड इन दैट पर्टिकुलर रिगार्ड. नाउ what exactly had happened recently? So there has been a experiment that is conducted by DRDO and ISRO and the AER, Aerial Delivery Research and development establishment. So this is the domestic capability building with respect to development of the high strength parachute, because eventually once there will be the people who are going to come back from the space, and when the module is going to come back on the earth, there will be parachute, and the type of load which will be there on that particular parachute, in order to check the resilience and strength of that parachute, it is being done. This experiment has been done. Now Gaganyaan mission mein what are the components? So there are three components that are going to be there. First is the human rated launch vehicle, means that can keep human also. There will be a orbital crew module also which will be part of that. So now in that launch vehicle there will be 3-stage launch vehicle. First stage is going to be solid, so there are going to be the solid booster rockets. Then the second stage is going to be the liquid engine like the Vikas engine, and the third stage is going to be cryogenic in order to give the last push in that particular orbit. Now there is the second thing, which is the orbital module. There is going to be a crew module where the crew or the people who are going to go in the space and then going to come back are going to be stationed, and apart from that service module, so all the other equipments, components, cylinders and all these things are going to be placed in that. So it is a depressurized type of system. Now crew escape system. So unfortunately, if there are certain type of exceptional situation arises, or maybe any type of failure has been observed, so in that case there can be emergency evacuation. So safety mechanism is also being designed in order to prevent any type of major casualty, right? So these are the components of that. Now what is going to be the significance of the Gaganyaan? Because it is going to ensure India's prestige at the global level, because India will become the 4th country. The 3 countries includes the China, includes US, includes Russia as of now. So US, Russia and China, India will become the 4th country in order to ensure the launch capability for the human. Technological innovation and social benefit, this is going to help with respect to development of a lot of things for which the space-based understanding is needed. So telecommunication, remote sensing, weather forecasting, agriculture, healthcare. In all these domains, people can comparatively have a better idea now. They can have their first-hand experience with respect to these, talking about economic growth, employment creation. So basically, once these type of experiments are being done, it's not only just for science, but even for the economic development also, because through this, there will be further collaboration. The people are going to come to India, there will be investments, and all these things are going to ensure the employment creation and the further endeavors like the Bharati Antariksh Station, as I was already talking about, right? So this is going to be the system. You can see there are going to be the solid boosters, there is the liquid engine, then there is a cryogenic stage, this is the launch vehicle aspect, and then there is going to be an orbital module where there is a crew module and the service module, and then there is a crew escape system. So unfortunately, if anything happens, so this is going to be the crew escape system through which there may be evacuation, right? So this is regarding the Gaganyaan. Now, having discussed about the articles in detail, now let's talk about certain other article briefly. So the first in this is regarding the Vibrant Village program. So previously also we have discussed regarding this particular program. So Vibrant Village program, when it was launched towards the China based border. So basically it was to ensure comparatively better development of the border related infrastructure, and along with that ensuring all weather road connectivity, then the telecom connectivity, then the television related connectivity, electrification. So these things has to be ensured robust, because those people who are living on the border region, they are the eyes and ear of the government, right? Eyes and ear of the forces. And if that area is lacking with respect to human resources, if there is going to be a lot of migration, then eventually there are going to be a lot of losses. And that's why there is a need to strengthen the infrastructure in that particular region. Giving the confidence to the people of those regions are very, very important. So phase 2 of the Vibrant Village program has been launched. So in the Assam Chachar district, which is by the Union Home Minister. Now, it is going to saturate village with the 4 thematic areas. We have talked about all-weather connectivity, telecom, television and the electrification. Now, Vibrant Village program, first phase, it was mainly towards the northern border towards China. It was launched in 2023, select village for the northern border, and now it is talking about central sector scheme, and all the border areas are now going to be taken care in this. Nepal, Bhutan, even Bangladesh, even Pakistan, all these regions are going to be part of that, right? Now, to ensure the prosperous and the safe border, controlling the trans-border crime, because otherwise there might be high chances that there may be locals might also be involved. So that's why in order to ensure, saturate them with all the type of facilities so as to prevent any type of non-state actors development out of that. So reducing the crime and assimilating the border population with the nation. Next is regarding the edge computing. So recently in the AI summit, because right now see, India AI summit is going on. So in that case, a lot of articles are talking about AI. So just have a gist about that. Just have an idea regarding what are the developments going on in that. So there has been talking about by the Reliance chairperson who has committed the investment to fund the nationwide edge computing network. Now, what exactly is the edge computing? That means the device which is allowing the processing of the data there only. That means in a decentralized manner. So it lets the devices process the data locally on the device only or very nearby, right? So that just try to assume a scenario that let's say there is a camera which is used for surveillance, and now every time that camera is doing the surveillance. Now every time if the feed have to go to the central server, so it will create a lot of lag with respect to data processing. Now what about if there is anything, any major breach that is observed and that is only going to go to the central server, other than that data is processed locally only. So that's why this type of edge computing method is used. So only essential data is sent to the central server and then it reduces the latency, means the gap or the lag that is available. So security camera in the remote warehouse, right? So fog computing, there is another concept. So in the edge computing, the processing is done there only or very nearby. In the fog computing, different devices are connected to one such place where the data comes and then data flows towards the central server. So in that case, once at the node jahan pe from different system the data is coming and that is getting processed, so very near only. So it is neither edge computing nor the cloud computing where every data is going to the central server. So cloud computing mein it is using the centralized data center. That means lag is going to be more. Fog computing mein different processors are connecting to one such place and then there is going to be processing and then data is moved to the central server. So it is stores and process the data between the cloud and the edge. So when the edge devices lack the enough computing power. So every device might not be having that much sufficient power. So very near only, but not like the edge computing, right? Next is regarding Bharat GI. So in this particular summit which is going on in the Bharat Mandapam, there has been Bharat GI that is also being unveiled. So Bharat GI, what exactly it is? It is the national umbrella initiative to showcase the India's unique GI product to the globe. So basically hota kya hai ki different states have their own GI product. Now in order to access all the GI product and the single platform, it is being done by the Bharat GI, which is the ministry responsible, Department of Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade, DPIIT, and Ministry of Commerce and Industry, which is responsible and the nodal ministry. What it does, it basically provides a strong international recognition, premium positioning and market access. That means your products are going to be connected to market. It should not be like there is that difficulty in order to access the GI tag product. And in order to reduce any type of the fuzzy type ka product, means the localized developed products but not the GI tagged one, right? So that means there will be lack of the fake product and reduction of the fake product utilization. Next is the Bio AI Mulankur hubs. So basically this is the Science and Tech Minister's announcement who has announced that the government will establish the Bio AI Mulankur hub. What exactly these Bio AI Mulankur hub? That means to create an integrated and closed loop system. जहां पे research होगी, that particular research will be done and the validation will be done in a closed loop system. Means you need not to go to some third party in order to get it validated. What you are going to do, AI based prediction means you are trying to think certain solution and those type of validation will also be done at the similar place. So there will be interconnection of different labs and the other type of system which is going to do the research at the same point of time validation. It is operating in a unified framework. So it focuses on the genomics, diagnostics, biomolecular design, then the synthetic biology, Ayurveda based research, which is aligned with the Bio E3 policy, which is what? Biotechnology for environment, economy and the employment. That means interconnecting the entire ecosystem which is developing the end-to-end final product. Now implementing agency kaun si hai? Which is the implementing agency? It is the Department of Biotechnology along with the Biotechnology Industry Research Assistance Council, BIREC. So this is regarding the Bio AI Mulankur hubs. Now just in these type of cases have an idea regarding what exactly is the objective, ministry concerned and what is going to be the outcome, right? Next is regarding the zinc ion battery. So previously we have sodium ion battery bhi humne dikha tha, right? So scientists unlock a new cathode material for the zinc ion batteries for the grid storage. So what exactly is zinc ion battery? It is a metal ion battery जहां पे there is going to be a cathode, there is going to be anode. Cathode क्या है? Common material, nickel, cobalt, manganese, aluminium, the commonly available materials. And anode is basically graphite, zinc, silicon. And in this particular case, there is going to be electrolyte also, because these cathode and anode are part of in that particular environment of electrolyte, which is helping to exchange of the ions. So the solution that facilitates the flow of ion between the anode and cathode, and this is basically the aspect of any of the batteries are going to have the electrolyte. So in this particular case, zinc ion battery, right? So there has been the development of the further cathode material, जो कि comparatively it will ensure the better performance of this battery. Now the type of metal ion battery है, which is similar like the lithium ion battery. Generally we are focusing a lot on the lithium ion, but lithium ion में problem is that India is import dependent on that, and that's why the alternative batteries which are even environment friendly, that are more important. Next is the conflict in Sudan. Now see, this is in the Africa. The region is very, very important from the perspective of UPSC. UPSC keeps on asking the location based question. So whenever there is any region which is in the conflict, just have an idea regarding why that region is in news and why it is in the conflict. Exact reason क्या है? Reason news में क्यों है? Which region it belongs to, right? So UN mission in the Sudan reported indication of the genocide in the siege of the Al-Fasher city by a paramilitary group. So Sudan में what exactly is happening? Their army and the paramilitary forces are fighting with each other, right? For the control in the country. So now places which are there, which include the Khartoum, which is the capital city. Then there is Darfur region, which is part of the West Sudan. Then Al-Fasher, which is the capital of the North Darfur. Then there is Al-Jinia is there, Zamzam is there. Then there are other regions like Kordofan is there. Okay? Blue Nile state. So these are the places UPSC have asked. Just try to refer the question. Conflict based regions pe a lot of questions have been asked in last 10 to 15 years. Right? So that's why this is very, very important. Now community affected is also important, like Masalit is there, then Zagawa is there, Fur is there. Right? Next is the lion-tailed macaque. Another important thing which UPSC in the prelims focuses a lot, which is about the species. So if there is any species, because of conservation, because of reduction of population, because of increase in population or change of status is there in news, the chances are high UPSC can ask. So recent scientific analysis of the lion-tailed macaque shows the steady primate population and in certain location even increasing. That means the population is increasing, which is good thing. Now, what is IUCN status? It is endangered. CITES status, Appendix 1's highest protection it has got. Wildlife Protection Act 1972, Schedule 1 and Schedule 4, right? So that's why it is one of the most important species as far as India is concerned. Now, they are also known as bearded monkeys due to grey men around the face. The tail resembles through the lion, and that's why they are also known as the lion-tailed macaque. What is the habitat? It is the evergreen forest, which is of the southern western Ghats, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Kerala, where they are found. Now there are two genetically distinct type of population or the subpopulation. One is in the north of the Palghat Gap, another is the south of the Palghat Gap. Now try to locate the Palghat Gap on the map. Now what are the threats? Extensive agriculture, urbanization, mining, hunting. These are the threats. Just with respect to the species, this much type of information is important. Where they are found, what is their specific issues, threats kya hai unke, which region they are found, and what is exactly the status as per the IUCN Wildlife Protection Act. Right. Next is the State of Energy Innovation 2026. So whenever the report based questions are there, generally they are asking that which is the agency which is releasing. So it is the International Energy Agency which is releasing the State of Energy Innovation Report 2026. Simply UPSC can ask that which is the agency releasing this report. Now what are the specific things mentioned, like the strategic shift, which talks about that why the innovation is going on now more because of the geopolitics, like the conflict between countries and the supply chain security related issues, and that's why the primary engine for the innovation are these, like the innovation alongside the climate goal. Other than that, uneven spending, so there is the research and development spending, then rising of the public funding in intensity, जो कि बढ़ी नहीं है from the 1980s के time period. So that means the funding, public funding is still lesser, and the validity of death, it highlights that there are a lot of technology which are failing because of the lack of early stage funding. So these are the aspects that are being highlighted. Now, which is the agency? International Energy Agency, where the headquarters is situated, France, Paris, right? Then founded in 1974 following the 1973 oil crisis. So in order to ensure the sustainable energy development with respect to securing the energy resources, the capability development of the countries, in that all cases it is the premier agency. Now For the membership of this particular agency, you have to have a membership of the OECD. That's why India is not a permanent member, India is an associate member. 32 member countries, 13 association countries. So India is an associate member, not the full-time member. Last is regarding the Board of Peace. So recently it was there in news because of the Donald Trump's announcement of this as going to be a conflict resolution mechanism. So India attended this summit as an observer, right? When it was established 2026, already it was detailed, it was covered, originated from the US President's 20-point peace plan for the Gaza. So a type of resolution जो UNSC pass करता है, similar type of resolution based upon the UNSC resolution, this Trump's peace plan, and that led to the development of the Board of Peace. Now, what is the objective? To transform Gaza into the demilitarized and the economically stable territory. So in order to ensure the stability, this is being done. Now membership कौन है? Chairman is the US President with an executive board of the selected global leader. Then the invitation based members हैं, which are being invited, and then there are certain fixed term and the paid permanent members. So like any other organization, there are members based upon certain criteria, right? So with this, we have come to an end to the discussion for the 20th Feb News Today articles. Now, whatever we have discussed, I hope that are clear to you. Now try to go through the questions which are on your screen, try to solve them, and then we will meet again in another set of discussion. Thank you everyone. Have a great day.